Why does this case matter? This case opens up a huge conversation about parental accountability. And what point does negligence become criminal, especially after authorities already warned you directly? Then I read the story and I was like, oh no, she should rot underneath the jail because they done told her. And she decided not to be a parent. As we talk about this, let's get to the uncomfortable truth that people don't want to talk about. A lot of parents know their kids are reckless. They just never think the consequences are going to reach this level.
Yeah.
And this should be a wake-up call for parents because, you are responsible for your kids' actions sometimes, especially when it affects other people's lives.
Unsolicited Perspectives Podcast. Episode clip.
It's about a parent who's being charged for manslaughter because of their child. So, an Orange County, California mother named Tammy Jo Mayer is facing involuntary manslaughter charges after prosecutors say her 14-year-old son struck and killed an 81-year-old man while riding a high-powered, basically e-motorcycle, illegally, by the way. This happened April 16th of this year, happened in Lake Forest, California. Authorities say the teenager was allegedly doing wheelies before striking the 81-year-old Vietnam veteran and substitute teacher Ed Hashman. Hashman later died from his injuries. That caused prosecutors to upgrade the charges to involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors also say the deputies had already warned the mother in 2025 about her son riding recklessly. Authorities say she continued allowing him to ride anyway. They also allege she later lied about ownership and access to the bike. So she's been charged with involuntary manslaughter, felony child endangerment, accessory after the fact, contributing to delinquency of a minor, providing false information to the police, and in allowing an unlicensed minor to operate a motor vehicle. Why does this case matter? This case opens up a huge conversation about parental accountability. And what point does negligence become criminal, especially after authorities already warned you directly? So I gave everybody this, but I'm just going to paint a picture. It's not an e-bike. It's an e-motorcycle because it's been souped up and these things could go all the way up to 60 miles per hour.
Yeah.
It's a 14-year-old.
An e-bike usually tops out about 30, 35 miles per hour. This is so this child didn't have no business driving an e-motorcycle at the age of 14. Zero.
None. And he's riding recklessly, popping wheelies, right?
Right.
And the
Where
cops
do you think Baltimore? Philly? You think you're a 12 o'clock boy? You're not. You're in Orange County.
What do you think? He's part of Meek Mill's group?
Yeah, who you think you are?
And he hit this man, once again, Vietnam veteran, substitute teacher. And the cops done told her he's not supposed to be riding this. So she is just like, the hell with what y'all say. This is America. This is a free country. And now she's paying the price. And I was watching this, and at first I was like, why should the parent be charged? Before hearing the story, just reading the headline, why should the parent be charged for the kid's actions? Then I read the story, and I was like, oh no, she should ride underneath the jail because they done told her. And she decided not to be a parent.
Even if they hadn't. He didn't buy this bike himself. You bought it. You bought this machine for someone who is underage and is not legally allowed to ride it. And then whether she said free country, he can do whatever he wants, or she can't control him, regardless, this is a child. His frontal lobe is not fully formed. He does not get to make these decisions. He also doesn't get to be held accountable for them. But somebody does need to be held accountable, and that's going to be you. Now, it just so happened that this is a story where she was told before, she had lied to police and all these things. And so it's like, it's easy to be like, no, she should be held accountable for this. But even if none of that was true, and she had just bought the bike and let this child unlawfully ride this bike, this is a child. They can't sign a contract. They can't be held legally responsible for things at the age of 14.
Okay, I agree with everything that you're saying. let me just pose a scenario at you. Alan Rich, Jack Reacher, the actor that plays Jack Reacher, was just in an altercation last month while riding bikes with his two sons in the neighborhood that I want to imagine are just like this bike this young kid had.
They were on e-bikes and they were on the street. They had proper helmets and pads on. They were riding with a parent under parental supervision. I don't see a problem with that.
Okay.
There's not unlawful for them to have. Now, an e-motorcycle is completely different.
He was on a motorcycle. Alan Richardson was on a motorcycle.
Yeah, but I think the kids were either on like dirt bikes or e-bikes or something like that.
But a dirt bike is a motorcycle.
But I don't think that there is an age restriction on dirt bikes. I mean, it depends on the state, I think, but
I don't know if there's an age restriction on motorcycles.
A motorcycle, you have to have a license to operate.
I mean, you do with a dirt bike as well. You should. But I mean, basically, the second time I got my motorcycle's license, because ladies and gentlemen, in case y'all didn't know, I had gotten a motorcycle license twice. The first time I was in my early 20s. When I moved states, they didn't transfer the M from my Maryland to Virginia that designates I'm a motorcycle rider. I had stopped riding. And at that time, my ex-wife was like, you're not going to get on a motorcycle again. And I was like, you know what? You're probably right. But it got around my 40th birthday, and I guess it was midlife crisis. I decided to go get my motorcycle license again, got it again, and one of the bikes that we were learning on was kind of like a dirt bike. And that was the bike that the instructors told me to use because I was so big, and not to use one of the smaller bikes. And that bad boy almost sent me into a barricade during my testing. I almost failed the testing because that throttle, it's real loose. That throttle, I don't want. And ladies and gentlemen, do I ride now? No, I did. I got the license, immediately got into an accident, and decided never to get on a bike again. And that's it for me. I still got the M on my license.
Yeah, so
not gonna get another bike.
So for dirt bikes, because they are used off road, but you can use them on public roads. If you are using them off-road, you do not need a driver's license. If you use them
saying, I'm gonna need you to stop saying driver's license. Motorcycle license.
You don't need a license, whatever.
Yeah,
you don't need a license. It's still an operator's license.
Okay, you don't, when a person get their CDL, you don't say you got your driver's license. They got their CDL. Let's just.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
so but if you intend to ride on public roads, one, the dirt bike must be converted to street legal, so headlights, taillights, mirrors, all of that, and you do need a valid license with a Class M motorcycle endorsement.
Yeah.
That's Georgia. I don't know about wherever.
California, I'm going to imagine if that's Georgia,
California's stricter.
California is going to be stricter. So but it also leads to this whole situation leads to another question. How responsible are parents for reckless teenager behavior? Not solely talking about this scenario because the parent is absolutely responsible, but like if your young child is out there in the community slinging that rack.
A lot of them are tried as adults.
The children are, but should the parents be held responsible, right? Should the parents be held responsible for Dylan Roof? Should the parents be held responsible for what's the boy that shot that's a MAGA mascot that shot the people that were protesting?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Should the parents be responsible for Kyle Rittenhouse? Should the parents be responsible for the kids that go and shoot up the schools when maybe they took the precautions of locking the guns away and the kids just broke into the gun? Where is it the responsibility of the parents?
I think it's case by case, and it's up to the DA and the judge. Some instances,
do we want to leave things like that up to the DA?
Their job is to.
I know, but we just know because of the criminal justice system. I know.
Yeah, I mean, the criminal justice system in America is broken. We all know that. But the job of a DA and a judge is to pass
Okay.
judgment. So yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
So I think it's case by case. I think in some of the instances, like the school shootings, the parents were held liable for providing assault weapons to their underage children, and in some instances parents weren't. I think it just depends on the level of involvement. I think this instance specifically, because she was told before and then made false statements to police and all of these things, that's why you accountable. Somebody died. Somebody has to be held responsible for this. That kid also needs to be held responsible for this. And if that means some sort of inpatient thing where you get some sort of treatment, or whether that means juvie or something
Then we ain't talking about juvenile 400 degrees either.
Nah, absolutely not. Everybody deserves that.
You're right.
Especially because he back out and better than ever.
Okay, we're doing our ADHD thing again, but
yeah,
I agree with everything you're saying, and I want to leave the audience with this. As we talk about this, let's get to the uncomfortable truth that people don't want to talk about. And a lot of parents know their kids are reckless.
Mm-hmm.
They just never think the consequences are going to reach this level.
Yeah.
And this should be a wake-up call for parents, because you are responsible for your kids' actions sometimes, especially when it affects other people's lives.
Yeah. Your kid's a little shit. Why are you letting them just be outside causing the same havoc that they cause in your home to other people? Get it together. And that's 100% your fault. Sorry.
Yeah.
Join the conversation and follow the Unsolicited Perspectives podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts.